Hey everybody, welcome back live at Drew's House, Joppa Afternoon Drive. Hope you're all doing well out there. Thanksgiving week, here we go, man. It comes quickly, doesn't it? And this is maybe one of my favorite guests to have around Thanksgiving. Mike Lynch, formerly Channel 5 WCVB. Mike, how are you, my man? Great to see you again. I love the Swampscott shirt. Very nice.
Yeah, well, you got to go with your roots, and I was born and bred in Swampscott, and I always had the big blue blood in me, so this was the only shirt that I was going to wear on the show with you today, Drew. But it's great to be here, great to see you, and love being on this show.
Awesome, man. Well, first of all, how you feeling? How you doing? I know every time I have you on, people are always asking me, "How's Mike doing?"
I'm doing pretty good. I'm getting better all the time. You can see I'm moving my right hand was the one that was affected, but I can pick these glasses up with it and do a lot of things. I'm walking a little better. I'm driving now with my left foot, and everything's good. Everything's better every day. That's the best thing.
That a boy. And you sound great still. That's perfect. That's great. All right. So I just had I've been having some of the football kids on here. I mean, this day, does it get any better than this for a high school athlete? You're playing football all year round. It's Newburyport, Amesbury here. A little bit of a down year for Newburyport, but it really doesn't matter. It's Thanksgiving.
It doesn't. Thanksgiving, you can erase a lot of bad memories on Thanksgiving Day with a big performance and big win. My last Thanksgiving Day game was 1970, so that's 55 years ago. I can remember the score of, in my day it was 10, 11, and 12 grades. We won 40-0, 15-14 my junior year, 31-7 my senior year. I cannot tell you the score of the other games, but those Thanksgiving Day games, I can remember like they were played this morning.
That's outstanding, right? I mean, you have some Newburyport experience too. You know playing here.
I sure do. Both teams, they were both in the Northeast Conference when I was playing. Landry was a great stadium, great field up in Amesbury, and World War Memorial Stadium in Newburyport with the great coach Jim Stalin. He was just a hero of mine. He and my dad were very, very good friends, and I got to know Ken Ladd, Billy Hale. I knew Charlie Cullen, Bino Arabino, Larry Russell. The list goes on and on, but we always played Newburyport the game before Thanksgiving, and it was a huge game. Both teams were really good, and one year, junior year would have been 67, saw a sophomore, I can't remember which one, but Newburyport brought down to Swampscott 25 busloads of students and people from the town. 25 busloads.
Wow.
Unheard of.
That is crazy. You mentioned, I remember hanging out with you one day. You were there when they inducted that field to be Coach Stalin's field.
Yes.
The new one. I remember talking with you down there on the sidelines, and that was always the thing about you. If you were at the high school game, you knew it was one of the big games of the day if you were there. The game of the day for Thanksgiving if Mike Lynch showed up on your sideline. But I remember, I think we both got a chance to talk to Coach Stalin.
We did.
And I just remember him being like, the memory, first of all. I mean, he could remember plays from Thanksgiving games in the past. Yeah. This guy ran to the left. He was off tackle. He bounced it out with 7 minutes left. That was a big play. I'm like, what? He was incredible.
On that day we talked about my senior year in 1970. I threw a touchdown pass, and I was also the kicker. I kicked an extra point, and it went through. There's a pink house behind the goalpost, and it was white at the time, but it's pink now, and I kicked it, and it went through the second floor window, and you could hear the glass shattering all around the stadium, and the whole frame of the window fell out and fell 2 stories down to the ground, and everybody on our team was laughing, they're having a great time. I felt bad, so I wrote Coach Stalin a letter when I got home. I said, would you please apologize to the people that live in that house? I didn't mean to do anything, et cetera, et cetera. And, some 50 years later, when I did in 2018, I think it was 15, whatever it was, I said, Coach, remember that letter I wrote you? He goes, Mike, I still have the letter.
No kidding.
He still had the letter. And that tells you a lot about him.
Yeah, man. Wow. He was a great coach, too. I mean, he was a leader of men, but I mean, those were tough Newburyport teams for a whole lot of years.
He was an assistant coach at Natick with a lot of great coaches. And the Newburyport job opened. And he and my dad had been friends for years because they were in the coaching fraternity together. And my dad knew all the coaches at Natick. And so he said, Jimmy, he said, there's a job open at Newburyport. You'd be perfect for it. And I'm sure it caused a little discontent among the locals up there. Who's this guy coming from Natick? And Natick might as well have been on Mars, But he came, and within 2 years, had them playing for the Northeast Conference Championship. Wow. And the rest of the story speaks for itself. He was just one great quarterback. He played at Brandeis. He was a quarterback. And as a coach, you ask anybody that ever played for him, and they'd run through a wall for that guy.
Unbelievable. Again, Mike Lynch joining us here. I was just talking, Mike, with the head football coach of Newburyport, John Weber. First year as the head coach, but he's been on the staff for a long time. And, he was talking to his kids, and it is kind of a different generation now. And Coach Weber and I were trying to explain to these kids how every single kid who played football in Massachusetts on Thanksgiving, they would be done with the game. Maybe they'd go home, eat with the family, but they were back in their living room with the TV on, tuning into you on Thanksgiving night for that recap. Just tell me a little bit about those memories. I mean, and how it all came about, even if you want.
Well, it came about because I grew up as the son of a coach, 3-sport coach, and on Thanksgiving Day I was carrying the bucket of water or cleaning cleats with my putty knife, and I never wanted the day to end. When it came 12:30 and the game was over, all right, we're going to go home and eat, and then we're going to talk about the game till about 8 or 9 o'clock at night, and then Friday and Saturday and Sunday until basketball practice started on Monday. So I just thought that I brought those same feelings to the TV screen. Why don't we run a show and get as many highlights of as many games as we possibly can and share them? And some people that are going to be on TV are going to remember that for the rest of their life. So we did it, and it was challenging, but it was worth it because you worked, probably 14, 16 hours that day. And then getting the tapes we sent, 6 or 7 photographers out physically to the games. But other games would get, the cable TV company would give us maybe 3 minutes of highlights. But the problem was, how do we get those tapes? Because the people that work for those cable companies, come 12:30, 1 o'clock, they're home with their families.
Yeah.
And what is open? Well, the only 2 places that are open in town are the police station and the fire station. So we'd have the cable companies leave them at the North Attleboro Fire Department. We'd leave them at the Canton Police Department. And we'd have a courier drive all the way around eastern Massachusetts, and he'd bring the tapes in. And then I say, well, where's the roster? He said, oh, they didn't leave one. I said, well, number 31 scored 3 touchdowns. Who the hell is number 31? So then we would call the police department again. Who's number 31? Oh, yeah, that's Drew Moholland. He's a great football player. And that's basically how it all came together. And it all came together like, the news started at 6 o'clock. It literally came together at 5:59.
That's incredible. And this is like this is pre-social media with no Twitter, you got to.
Right now, you can get everything you need right off this. You can get information, you can get highlights, you can get interviews, and but it was a challenge that we liked. And my dad was, after he left Swampscott, he was an athletic director at your school, Danvers High School.
Yep.
So he called me one night when 6:30 came, and I walk up to the sports office, and the phone's not ringing, which is a good sign. That means we didn't get any scores wrong, and so the phone rings, and I pick it up, and I go, hello, Sports. Hey, Mike, it's Dad. Oh, hey, Dad, how you doing? Really great show today. Oh, thanks, Dad. But you got one score wrong. What was that? Our score. I'm the athletic director in Danvers. We only won 1 game, and that was today. We beat Gloucester, but you had the scoreboard Gloucester 6, Danvers nothing.
Oh,
and
no.
of all the scores to get wrong, my father's and your alma mater.
Oh, man, I bet you spent a year hearing about that, huh?
Oh, I did. Yeah, all the time. He said, Michael, we always check and double check our work before we present it. Yes, Dad. Yes, Dad. Yes, Dad.
Man, let me tell you, Gloucester, that was a tough place for our football guys to go in and play on the water there, huh?
Yeah, we always play them first game of the year in September, so it was kind of warm.
Yeah.
And but I pitied those teams that have to go in there in October and November, and because that wind was coming right off the ocean, and you could feel it right through your bones.
Yeah, not a good day for field goal kickers either.
Right.
I believe you told me a story, right? Because you talk about that show coming together at the very last minute, and that's our business. That's in a lot of ways that's what we sign up for. We live for that adrenaline rush sometimes. But didn't you have some times where like you literally had the police department yelling at each other, like, no, it was 24, 21.
Oh, yeah. You'd call like the Salem Police Department and say, what was the score of the Salem Beverly game? We for some reason we don't have it. Yeah, I think it was 24. Freddie, what was the score of the game? Yeah, no, 24-14. He says 24-14. I think it was 24-16. I said, well, we got to nail it down here, and can we call anybody? And there was no directory for athletic directors or coaches. There were no emails. So you'd be calling all around. So if I got, I said, because the guy's ready to punch this thing in, then we have a 3-minute scoreboard roll with music, and you can't have an empty score. So you got to put something in there. So if 2 out of the 3 guys at the fire department said it was 24-14, and one guy said 24-16, we went with 24-14, and we were blessing ourselves that we got it right.
Oh, that's fantastic. When you look back on all those years of doing that, like, I don't think it was lost on the families around here that, you had given up your Thanksgiving Day to do all that for the kids. And, I remember being in plenty of living rooms myself, just with my parents going, can you believe they put this all together? I mean, we were just at this game a couple hours ago, and he did this for every single game. It was pretty a remarkable thing that you were able to put together. And I just, you must feel the appreciation now on the backside of that a little bit, like just from grown adults too, right?
It is, because I hear it when we get this time of year. I hear it where every place I go. Hey, Lynch, oh God, I missed that Thanksgiving show. That was so much fun. That really Saturday, every third Thanksgiving night, 7:30, we all gathered around the TV. And if you hadn't finished eating, you brought a plate in with you, and you sat there and you watched it. And we started this tradition with hoodies. And it came from my middle daughter, Molly, and my wife. We were sitting having dinner one night and said, like, why don't you wear like 3 or 4 sweatshirts of the teams you're covering, and just to have a contest, write in why I should wear your jersey. So we said, okay, the football players are getting enough attention. Let's there's 4 commercial breaks, so I'll wear 4 different hoodies, and write me a reason why I should wear your hoodie. And we always took a selection like our team won the state marching band championship. Our team, we have a teacher that's taught for 45 years, and she's retiring this year. She's a Spanish teacher. She's absolutely fabulous. Our math team won the North Sectional Final. So we got everybody involved, the band, the cheerleaders, the math team, the debate team, and everybody. It wasn't just a football show. It was about inclusion, not exclusion. And I think it's the last level of sports where everybody's involved. Everybody in the town is involved. The concession stands, the ticket takers, the people, the police officers, security people, the freshmen, the sophomore, the kids that are looking forward to someday being out in that field. And when it ends on Thanksgiving and Thanksgiving night, for many of the seniors, that's it. They're not going to play football again, and they're just going to think about being in that locker room, being on that bus with all those guys, and seeing the cheerleaders and hearing the band and looking at the parents and looking up in the stand. And I swear every Thanksgiving it looked like Michigan Stadium. I thought there were 100,000 people in the stands. That's what it felt like to me, and I know it felt that way to every single other person who participated that day.
Almost every year, I talk to players getting ready for this game, and it seems like just every year the same theme comes back around of it all goes by just so fast,
Bang.
It's the fall, the school year starts, it's fall sports, it's a lot of times that football game is right there in that first week of school, and then before you know it, you're staring down Thanksgiving, and maybe you're a senior, and maybe that's it.
Maybe that's it. And you don't want to let it go. You really don't want to let it go. And I haven't let it go. My family calls me Harry High School because when I walk around with this thing. I live in Winchester, so they're like, "Yeah, we don't care about Swampscott." I said, "Well, I do."
Yeah.
And I said, "And I'll always care about Swampscott." But the 3 or 4 days leading up to the game take forever. It's like I think I can, and then Thanksgiving morning, boom. You wake up, you have breakfast, you go down, to the field, in the locker room. You get butterflies. I mean, your chest is just thumping. All you want to do, you try to tie your shoes. You put the eye black. I don't know why anybody was. I don't think it does anything, but it makes you look like a football player. So we put that stuff on, and then the game is. It's like, all of a sudden it's like 2 minutes to go. What happened?
Yeah.
And it was such a great feeling. I mean, there was nothing like it for me, and I know that feeling is shared by thousands.
And hopefully you're on the right side of the score line with 2 minutes to go, because that makes Thanksgiving meal a whole lot better, doesn't it?
Sure does. 40-0, 15-14, 31-7. My 3 years. We won all 3 years.
Unbelievable. Yeah, and you never forgot those scores. That's fantastic. Nope. What was your when you were doing the recap show? I mean, what would you? Because those games start early. Most of them are what? 10:30, 11.
10 o'clock. It's usually 10 to 10:15.
Yeah. Okay. So you got to get going, fairly early. I know you're, used to getting up early at times, but I mean, what was your routine on those days? Did you go get breakfast before the long day, or what?
No, I'd have some at home. I'd have like a bagel and an orange juice. I'm not a coffee drinker for some reason, so I'd pound some orange juice, have a little thing, and I'd be out the door at probably, depending where I was going. I mean, if I was going to Newburyport, I had like an hour drive. I'm in Winchester, I'm just going to Woburn. I could leave at 9 o'clock, but then you get a factor in traffic and parking. Like every parking lot is overflowing. My camera guys were always there by 9 o'clock. I mean, they were there, and they would tell everybody, Lynch is going to show up 60 seconds before kickoff. So I would show up. I'd have a couple pieces of paper in my back pocket and a pen. I tried to grab a program. Years later, we got smart. We took pictures of the program, and so I'd have that in my pocket, and then a guy would, so there's no replay, so you're at the game, and a guy runs for a touchdown, you like this, and I go, shit, how far was that? And hopefully they hadn't erased the scoreboard where it says ball on the 45-yard line. He said, oh, that was a 45-yard touchdown run by Drew Moholland. And but if they erased it, I had to walk around and ask somebody. I said, how far was that run? He said, it was 43 yards. Okay, write it down, 43 yards, 7-0. And then at halftime, I talked to the camera guy. I said, okay, the team that wins, we're going to get near the sidelines, because they're probably going to dump Gatorade on his head or ice bucket on his head, and there'll be some real raw emotion and stuff that you can't script. And it might be a coach's last game. It might be they played for one of their teammates and friends is battling a serious illness. But there's raw emotion, or someone just realized it's my last game. And very often we'd have someone going, I can't believe this happened. This is the greatest day of my life. And it's just genuine, pure, and unvarnished. And we would find that every place we went. It never, ever changed. And that day I was up in Newburyport. We had Jim Stalin dedicating the field to him. Then the game goes into overtime. And Newburyport won in overtime. And then afterwards, they have this trophy they present to the kids, and a guy with Lou Gehrig's disease handed out the trophy, and it was shaken and saying, oh my God, this is great stuff. And then the head coach announced to the team that this was his last game. He was stepping down.
Coach Gaudiano.
So I said, how are we going to fit all this stuff into a 2-minute piece? Not to mention there were like 8 great touchdowns. Yeah. So, Steve Menard, the cameraman, and I, we'd sit in his car, and by this time we were editing on a laptop, and he'd be showing all the stuff he has. I said, Steve, I could do the whole half-hour show on this one game with all the things that happened. And he said, let's capture the passion of this day. I really get some good stuff. I get some good shots of kids' eyes with tears coming down and great emotion, and we put it all together in the car, and then he takes it, he sends it back to Channel 5, and I head out, and I tell Steve to go home and enjoy dinner with his family. We'll take care of things from then, and that was a typical game, and and I miss it. I sound like I feel like I want to go cover a game this year too.
You're not thinking about it, are you?
No, here I am.
Sometimes I think people don't realize in the TV world, I get the impression, Steve, who you just mentioned, I don't know Steve, but I get the impression those camera guys are, man, they're working right there with you, right? They're right there along with you every Thanksgiving Day.
And you know what's great? We have two sports photographers, but every other photographer on the staff, if they're working that day or not working that day, they want to be part of covering Thanksgiving Day games. Hey, Mike, I'm a news photographer, but I live in Maynard. Can I cover a game so close to my house? Yeah, you can do the Maynard game. And hey, Mike, yeah, you can do the Plymouth North, Plymouth South game, and do this game and that game. And they get everything down. They write. They said, I'm going to send you 3 highlights. Here are the names of the 3 kids that scored. Happy Thanksgiving. And that was the best part, is that it was, in a TV station, that some people are covering politics all the time, some people covering fires, some people are covering death and destruction, some people are covering weather, some people are covering sports. So we're kind of fractured in all different places. But this is the one day that we all galvanize and come together, and we're covering one thing. If someone gets assigned to cover like Macy's Day Parade, they say, I'd rather be covering North Andover, because that's a heck of a lot more fun.
Yeah, I can tell. You talk about going to cover a game, and I still feel like you probably feel the same way. I think it's pretty much what you're saying. You wake up Thanksgiving morning, and it's a different feel. There's a different feel in the air. There's morning football. Like it's a community. The community feels alive. It's a different thing about Thanksgiving in the air, especially when you're involved with the football community.
It's big, and when you drive in, when I come in, I just flash my Channel 5 card and I walk right in. But there's 100 people in line. They bought their $5 ticket, and they're standing there, and they're there because they want to be there, and they're just looking for. They said, I want to be part of this. This is really something special.
Yeah, I mean, it must mean a lot to you when you. I'm just thinking of this time of year, everybody comes up to me and just asks, man, Mike's show was just. It's like it was like almost like a part of the family tradition that, like, it was almost like just your uncle coming by late or something. It was like that part of the show that was always part of Thanksgiving Day, and it must still. I mean, you must get emotional just thinking about it. Like, you were welcomed into all these families, and they all just stopped everything because we needed to dedicate the time to your show.
It was funny when I said to one of our, Dorothy Will, who was our director, I said, I really wish I could do it in my family room, and just sit in a chair and we could bring a camera in. They said, well, why don't we build a set which looks like your family room right here? So they got a nice like lazy boy for me to sit in. They said, now I brought in pictures of my 3 daughters, their high school pictures, and then I had everybody send in a banner, a megaphone, a trombone, a hat, so all of a sudden we had all the stuff surrounding me, and it would say Swampscott, Milton, Needham, Amesbury, and that's when I would shut the sweatshirts. The hard part was getting it off my head, because they're always tight in the neck.
Yeah.
So the microphone, the earpiece would come out, and then I'd be trying to put the next one over my head. And then they say 30 seconds. I said, I'm doing as fast as I can. I'm trying to get the microphone up here. And so, but Dorothy Will decorated. She was the director. She gave up her Thanksgiving, and she brought her daughter in, Sophie, who went to high school and then went to UConn, as the one to help me get the sweatshirts off over my head and make sure I put the right sweatshirt on. Because the script, I write the script and say, okay, we're going to do Whitman Hanson right now. Make sure it wasn't the Brockton or the Bridgewater Raynham sweatshirt. So a lot of people took good care of me, and it really was. It was I hate to use a catchphrase. It was a team effort. It was the TEAM. It wasn't Mike Lynch. It was 100 people.
Thursday night's going to come, and everybody's going to have their family meals and all that stuff. You're going to have half these kids are going to be on the losing side, half these kids are going to be partying all day on the winning side. In the end, what would you tell these seniors here who just had that final game? It does. What did Belichick used to say? When the season ends, it's like a plane crash. It's over. It's a screeching halt. Yeah. What would you remember those days? What would you say to these kids here when it's all said and done?
I remember all the great people you've been with in practice, in games, on bus rides. Remember the guy that picked up the locker room and washed all the towels and uniforms for you. The guys and the women and guys that took care of the concession stand, and your assistant coaches, because the most underpaid people in the world are teachers and coaches. And just think of all they've given for you, and use that going forward. Do something for someone else, but also cherish those memories, because they're not going to go away. Especially, I mean, here I am, I'm 72 years old, and I'm telling you, 40-0, 15-14, and 31-7, like it was yesterday. And cherish it, because there are going to be some great things and great times in your life, but not many things are going to top Thanksgiving Day. Of course, you're going to maybe get married and have babies. Mike, there's more important things than that. Not that day.
Mike Lynch, I know you are loved in Swampscott, Winchester, all of Boston. I got to tell you, here in Newburyport, you're loved quite a bit here, man. A lot of people are always begging for you to come on here, so I appreciate you taking some time here for Thanksgiving week for us.
Anytime, Drew. Let's make it a date next year, all right?
Absolutely. Glad to hear you're feeling well and getting better and all that good stuff, man. And keep going, all right?
All right, pal. Thank you for having me.
Enjoy. Happy Thanksgiving to you and your family.
And go Big Blue, by the way.
I thought you might sneak that in.
Little Marblehead. Marblehead's down. Swamps is up.
Good stuff. For those of you going to Newburyport, Amesbury, enjoy the game, and it's just a lovely time of year. Happy Thanksgiving to everybody. Maeve Power producing the show. Thank you for all you do. Happy Thanksgiving to Maeve. I know you love Maeve, Mike Lynch.
I love Maeve. I love the name. She sent me an email yesterday, and I met her before we went on the air, and she's better looking than both of us combined. So we should have had us on the backstage and put Maeve on camera.
No doubt. And she does all the hard work on this show, which I mentioned time and time again. And to the boss, Sarah Hayden, I appreciate that as always. Happy Thanksgiving, everybody out there. Until next time, live at Drew's house, Joppa Afternoon Drive. Mike Lynch, thank you, sir. Peace.